Welcome to Drunk Bible Study. This show's mission is to read every single word of the greatest story ever told. A warning to our listeners, the hosts of this show are sinners, but they're doing their best. There will be drinking and there may be some swears. They did say they'd try to keep it clean, but I wouldn't put my money on it.
I made a memory about your dad. He's in a book. Whoa, whoa. He has a history of skimming past all the pages of ageless confessional shit.
I'm Emily, and this is Drunk Bible Study, where my good friends Dedeker and Jace teach me, a born and raised atheist, all about the Bible. So, Jace and Dedeker, how are we doing today?
We're doing really well, and we're very excited because we have a special friend. Ooh, that sounds dirty. A special guest here with us today on the show, Sethbling. Thank you for joining us.
Yay!
Hello. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so Sethbling is a YouTuber. You may know him from being the former world record holder for fastest speedrun of Super Mario World.
Yeah.
Whoa. I love Super Mario World.
Yeah.
And as soon as you got that record, they're like, what do you want to do next? And you're like, I want to be on Drunk Bible Study. And here you are.
Yeah. Very next thing, 3 years later.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. This was your goal since then, and you finally made it.
Yeah, here we are.
No, actually, funny story. I got, way back when Minecraft first came out, which was, how many years ago was that, Seth? Do you remember?
First
8 years
It was
ago?
8 years. Yeah, 8 or 9.
Oh, wow.
It's 8 years ago when an early release of it came out. I signed up and I was like, oh, this seems cool. And I was playing this. And then maybe sometime later that year or a couple years later, I forget exactly the timeline, but I was watching some videos on YouTube about people's creations and cool shit that they'd made in Minecraft. And one of the people that I watched was Sethbling. And I didn't actually realize until another year or two later that he was my best friend's younger brother. And
now it
blew
all
my
makes
mind. I
sense
was
why
like-
he's here today.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
why.
Oh, I see.
Awesome.
So I'm glad that this worked out.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So Seth, can you tell us a little bit about what's your history with this great
Crazy
book that we're that we're reading?
With the Bible.
Yeah.
So I grew up Jewish. I went to Sunday school, Hebrew school.
It's called
And
Sunday school when you're Jewish, too?
It's still, it was Sunday school. Well, it makes more sense to be because Saturday is the Sabbath.
But it starts
You're not
at
supposed to work on the Sabbath.
Not
Sunday,
supposed to be schooling on the
you can
Sabbath.
do whatever on Sunday.
Okay.
Got it. That
So
makes
we
sense.
still had Sunday school.
Okay.
Yeah, and Hebrew school was on Wednesday though for some reason.
Oh, you had
And
two
I had a bar
days.
mitzvah, which is where you read out of the Torah and become a man in the Jewish tradition.
So that probably means your pronunciation of all the names is going to be way better than us if you had to
I'm
learn.
going to use a lot more ches.
Oh, no, that's great. We
Oh
should
my
just
God.
sub you in. We should have
we'll
you dub all of our Hebrew names because
that would take forever.
we're just freaking yokels over here, just base math and Abimelech and
Yeah.
Base
all that
math
kind
is
of
still
stuff.
my favorite character. But
Oh, he's a great guy.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Oh.
So I did grow up with that Jewish education, learned the Jewish traditions more or less. I was in the Reform Judaism, which is, I guess the best way is just it takes it a little bit less seriously than the conservative or Orthodox Jews.
I see.
Okay.
In adulthood, though, I consider myself atheist.
Got it.
Join the club.
I mean, it's kind of like I'm atheist, but I'm also Jewish because a lot of Judaism is more about the traditions and culture and community. So I don't feel uncomfortable at synagogue or anything like that. So I still do, I guess, consider myself Jewish too. It's sort of a strange thing.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a lot of Jewish friends who kind of landed in the same place of I still feel culturally Jewish and that's fine. I just don't necessarily feel like I'm practicing Jewish anymore. Yeah, that makes sense.
But so you probably then had a little bit of a similar experience to Dedeker and myself of being oh, right, I remember this story from Sunday school as a kid, but oh, there's some details they left out or,
Yeah, I've had some chance encounters with, Bible study type things out on the internet. And yeah, sometimes there are some details that are, if they told us that in Sunday school, it would have raised some eyebrows, for sure. And
Yeah.
it's interesting to learn about.
Yeah. So speaking of that, what are we reading today?
Right.
Good
Today,
question.
we are reading Genesis 38, 39, and 40.
Okay.
Continuing on with the story of Joseph and his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Yeah,
So what? Yeah. Do you remember what happened last time, Emily?
I'm trying to recall. I believe that Joseph was basically Jacob's favoritist boy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so because of that, all of his brothers hated him and they plotted to kill him, but they didn't really do that. They killed a goat and threw it all over his pretty coat, like the goat blood. And then they did they sell Joseph? They sold him.
Yeah, that was kind of the cliffhanger that we ended on, is
Yeah.
after they sold Joseph away.
Exactly. And then they came back and showed the coat to Dad, and they were like, he got killed by some animals. Whoops.
Yeah,
And-
they were like, we just found this.
Yeah.
He must have been killed.
Can you imagine if that was like the end of the story? That's the story of Joseph and the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Not so amazing.
This is what you get for bragging to your brothers.
Exactly. Yeah, it was a fascinating story, and again, like, these guys are not very nice. Not at all.
Siblings are not very nice to each other in this book so
Definitely
far.
not.
Yeah.
So Seth, okay, so that's how far we've gotten in the story of Joseph. Do you
I
recall?
can actually remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a specific Sunday school lesson that covered Joseph and the Dreamcoat, and they had us like color in a Dreamcoat. And
Oh,
I did it with
yeah.
like markers.
We did the
That's
same thing.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You get to
Yeah,
color
mine
in
was super
Sunday
cool.
school?
Yeah.
true story.
Sunday, I don't know about you, Jace or Seth, but like Sunday school for me was basically just like glorified preschool for several years, where it's just kind of like arts and crafts. You didn't have homework really.
Nice.
You know, it was just like things like that, like color in a dream coat or
We sang a lot of songs too. Did you also do that in Sunday school, Seth? Or is that just a Christian thing?
That was more Hebrew school.
Oh, I see.
You kind of learn the songs and how to read Hebrew and yeah, Sunday school was, I guess like what you're saying. You're in like 3rd or 4th grade, but it's still basically preschool for some reason.
You just
Yeah.
get to like
Had to
make
go,
some
so.
pretty pictures.
just have some snacks and draw some pictures and like put together some like cute little crafts. It's and like play some games. Like it's very, very easy.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what is everyone drinking?
Well, we're drinking wine.
Yeah, it's this like fun thing called 7 Moons Red Blend, and we saw it at the grocery store.
The drugstore. We
Well,
went to
yes,
the
because
CVS.
because I actually like got this a long time ago in New York. They were doing a little sampling of it.
Oh,
and
cute.
so when we saw it, it's a blend of 7 different wines,
I see the
7
7
different grapes.
Nice.
Yes, exactly.
Why?
It's quite nice, actually. It's really good.
Excellent.
What about you, Seth? What are you drinking?
I have on me it's an unfiltered sake. So that's the cloudy, sweet sake.
Uh-huh.
The
This
Nigori?
one is like coconut flavored. So
Interesting.
it tastes more like sake than coconut, but it's got a little bit of an aftertaste. I actually had my 2-year anniversary with my girlfriend this weekend.
Oh.
We bought a few
Congratulations.
different wines and sakes and stuff to try out. So.
Oh, that's awesome. So you had it on
Excellent.
hand. You didn't have to
Yeah,
run to the
and-
drugstore
and-
like us.
Right, and she also didn't really like that one, so that's why I'm drinking this one.
Like, well, I guess
I
I'll
see. You
take
get the
it.
leftovers.
Taking one for the team. That's good.
Yeah.
And it was good.
Nice.
Well, are we ready to do this?
Yeah, I'm so ready.
Okay, well, before we start reading, we want to remind all of our listeners to read responsibly and drink responsibly.
And remember that you can drink along with us, or you can listen to us in the car.
But please do not do both at the same time. And with that, I guess I'm starting. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
start us out.
Okay, Genesis 38.
So, okay, I want to give a little bit of a warning before you start reading, Emily, because I just glanced at this briefly. I think this chapter has nothing to do with the story of Joseph.
What?
It kind of comes out of nowhere, and then we go back to the story of Joseph. So,
Okay.
So don't worry, to our listeners, don't worry, we're not in the wrong spot. This chapter just kind of comes out of left field.
Yeah, who's Judah?
Judah's one of the other brothers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Remember Judah, not Iscariot?
Yes. Yes.
He's one of the 12 brothers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's a
Cool.
priest, right?
Is he?
Not yet.
Judah.
Well, it's hard because these 12 brothers,
Judas
like,
priest?
they kind of
Yeah, okay, that's
they kind of
Sorry.
become the tribes, and so often it's like the tribe names get conflated with like people names. It gets confusing, but
All
you
right.
know that already.
This whole book is very confusing. So I guess with that, okay, let's do this. It happened at that time that Judah went down from his brothers and turned into a certain Adullamite whose name was Hurrah. What?
The last hurrah.
So he turned into a guy whose name was Hurrah?
He
So
turned in like
Like you saw him?
I'm a little confused.
he made a left turn into the driveway of a certain.
it's like turned into the local 7-Eleven.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Adullamite was a really
horse?
famous chain of convenience stores back then.
And so this specific one was named Hurrah.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm looking up some other translations just to
thank
clarify here.
Right on the
here,
first
in-
verse, we're already
I
like,
know,
we need
right?
to find other translations.
Yeah.
According to the complete Jewish Bible, it was at this time that he went off from his brothers and settled near a man named Hirah, who was an Adulami.
Oh,
different
okay.
spelling.
Oh, okay.
Or he became friends with, or what some other translations said. So he just like kind of started to hang with this dude.
Okay. Okay. Because it looks like he turned into him. Like,
Yeah, not
oh, now I am this other person. But no. Okay. Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite whose name was Shua. Oh, we know where this is going. He took her and went into her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Went in.
Yep.
Went into her.
Took a left turn in.
Into her,
into
as
her.
it were.
yeah.
She conceived and bore a son, and he named him
She's like, "What do you want to name this son?" He's like,
Okay. She conceived again and bore a son, and she named him Onan. That's better. She yet again bore a son, and she named him Shelah, and he was at Chezib when she bore him. Cool.
All right.
Seth, how are we doing so far with this pronunciation? You got any notes?
Everything is spot on.
No, I'm the worst. At least Dedeker and Jace like really try hard, and not that I'm not trying hard, but I have no reference for this. Okay. Judah took a wife for his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. Judah's firstborn was wicked in the sight of Yahweh.
Uh-oh.
Shit.
Whoa, Yahweh killed him?
Whoa.
That is super random.
Wow.
That is.
I mean, gotta smite someone.
But I think this is the first time, at least so far, at least in the book of Genesis,
Yeah.
that it's been like, oh, God just killed that guy. It's usually there's a story of like, there was a storm, or there was a flood,
Yeah.
or there was a fire, or it's like, nah, God was just like, nope. Control Z on that one.
Yeah, that's very strange, but okay. I wonder what that guy did. Why was he
He's
wicked?
No questions asked.
It's wicked.
Yahweh. He knew.
Okay. All right. Ugh. Judah said to Onan, "Go into your brother's wife." What? And perform the duty of a husband's brother to her and raise up seed to your brother.
So before you keep going, Emily, this was actually a pretty common practice in many cultures that if your brother died, that then you
Go into her.
you got to go into his wife, essentially.
You like became her new husband,
yeah,
essentially.
Yeah, uh-huh.
yeah.
Okay.
I think it was, it was like strategy for a woman to still be taken care of even if her husband died. So
You know what? So I'm actually going this next weekend
Oh, yes.
to
my,
another wife.
to my brother's wedding.
Oh,
And they sent us some readings that like me and the other siblings are going to do different readings. And I was wondering if I could sub mine out for this.
for this one.
Real quick.
No.
Sure it'd go over well.
No, just be like, just so you know, if you die, Josh.
Yeah, I got your back.
Yeah, and
got
Seth,
dibs.
your brother is also married, so there you go.
Oh, that's true.
This is I'm really uncomfortable with this line.
Okay, let's keep going. Onan knew that the seed wouldn't be his, and it happened, and when he went into his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest he should give seed to his brother. So, okay, I think I know what this means.
Yeah, what does it mean, Emily?
That he masturbated onto the ground instead of inside of her?
Or he did the pull-out method.
yeah.
Pull-out method.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, you're probably right. Yeah.
Keep
It's
going.
like, no seed. that thing which he did was evil in the sight of Yahweh, and he killed him also? What? Yahweh is like not about seed being... Wait a minute, really? Is that... Oh, do they say that? Do they say that to people?
Yes, I was wondering if you'd connect the dots, but yeah, you connected the dots. That's why it's the old-timey term for masturbation was onanism, because Onan spilled his seed on the ground. How dare Actually, even in Japan, they still call it onani.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
That's the word for masturbation in Japanese is onani.
Wow.
Right?
But yeah, this is where the whole like no sex that's not for procreation thing comes from.
It's a very Catholic thing. That every sperm is sacred.
Is this the one?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the one that's like no using condoms and like no masturbation, like
it's that,
no same sex.
Your sperm is sacred, so you can't waste it or spill it on the ground.
It really isn't, though. It regenerates.
Well, they didn't know that back then.
I guess, but goodness.
Yeah,
Jeez,
so
and
Yahweh killed him for it.
So wait a minute. I'm just going to put this out there. So nobody else has ever done this. Nobody else has masturbated, or is God just like seriously?
Oh, he just got killed.
Yeah, well, no, but like Jacob or anyone like never did this.
No one ever did the pull-out method. Apparently not.
And so these are the first people who ever pulled out, and they get killed by God.
Yeah, instantly.
This is really.
I guess they like invented the technique.
Right.
There you go.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
This is historical evidence.
No one thought about it. Some things are just make more sense in hindsight. But
Yeah.
No one was like, if we could, but bro, I don't know if Yahweh is going to be into that. And you're like, I'm sure it's fine. It's innovation. Like, let's try it.
Right.
And alas. All right. Then Judah said to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, remain a widow in your father's house until Shelah, my son, is grown up. For he said, lest he also die like his brothers.
Jeez.
Oof. Tamar went and lived in her father's house. After many days, Shua's daughter, the wife of Judah, died.
Jeez.
Everyone
not
be
slain,
dying.
though. She just died.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's ambiguous.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Maybe
Who knows
she was
what
also
she did?
wicked. Yeah.
Yeah, God may have also hated her.
Yeah.
Jua was comforted and went up to his sheep shearers to Timnah.
Timnah, yeah. That's come up before. We've seen Timnah before.
Yeah, we've seen Timnah. We've been to Timnah.
Okay. He and his friend Hurrah, the Adulamite. It was told to Mir, saying...
Tamar still.
Tamar, sorry, damn. Timon. Yeah, okay.
Timon?
Exactly. Saying, behold, your father-in-law is going up to Timnah to shear his sheep. Okay. She took off the garments of her widowhood and covered herself with her veil and wrapped herself and sat in the gate of Enaim, which is by the way to Timnah.
I see. So on the way there, she was sitting in her like good clothes with her veil.
Not her widow clothes.
Right.
Okay.
I
think I know where this is going.
I don't. So what's going to happen? Okay. For she saw that Shelah was grown up and she wasn't given to him as a wife. When Judah saw her, he thought that she was a prostitute, for she had covered her face.
Like they do.
Do prostitutes do that?
Maybe just means he didn't recognize her, and so he thought a random woman by herself must
be a prostitute. If she's standing, you know what the way to Timnah is like.
She was wearing some provocative, veil and whatnot.
She was wrapped like a burrito. You know what that means.
Exactly. She's ready to go. He turned to her, by the way, and said, "Please come. Let me come into you."
What? Okay, that's okay. Wait.
Please come. Let me come into you.
Judah. Saying this
to
yeah, I'm so confused. Okay, so
this is his daughter-in-law.
Yes, right, daughter-in-law. Okay,
got it. That's what I was trying to figure out. Okay.
Ew.
Right, because this was his firstborn son's wife, and then his secondborn son's wife. They both died.
Okay,
and
this is the thing. Yeah, his third son is Shelah, and she wants to be given to Shelah, but he's like, no, wait till he's grown up, because otherwise he's going to get slain too, because he's a teenager, and God knows he's going to be spilling seed all over the place. So I got to protect him. And I'm assuming that, because it says, for she saw that Shelah was grown up and she wasn't given to him as a wife, is that he's grown up and she hasn't been given, and so she's pissed, and so she's going to go pretend to be a prostitute?
Okay.
I don't know if she was pretending to be or if he was just
Assuming.
foolish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Clearly he thought she was a prostitute because he said, "Please come, let me come into you."
Right.
You don't say that to strange women on the side of the road.
maybe this guy does.
Maybe this guy does. It's true.
Okay, so he said, please come, let me come into you, for he didn't know that she was his daughter-in-law. She said, what will you give me that you may come into me?
Okay, no, she was pretting to be a prostitute.
Oh yeah, I think she knows what's up.
Okay. He said, I will send you a kid of the goats from the flock.
Oh boy. A day's wage.
Exactly. She said, will you give me a pledge until you send it? He said, what pledge will I give you? She said, your signet and your cord and your staff that is in your hand.
Just give me all your stuff.
Yeah, exactly. He gave them to her and came into her, and she conceived by him. Okay, so this guy's not dying, even though this is really awkward.
Well, his seed didn't get wasted.
Exactly.
So,
It's fine.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
fine.
it's all good. Yeah. She arose and went away and put off her veil from her and put on the garments of her widowhood.
So she's being sneaky.
Being
Really
very, very
sneaky.
sneaky.
I
yeah.
think she's a perfect fit for this family.
Right? We found that all of these people are very, very sneaky
They're professional
people.
con artists.
Exactly.
Right? Because her grandfather-in-law disguised himself as his brother in order to get the blessing and conned his brother out of his birthright. So, like, it really fits.
Runs in the family.
She's a good fit for the family.
Yeah.
Okay.
Judas sent the kid of the goats by the hand of his friend, the Adulamite, to receive the pledge from the woman's hand, but he didn't find her. Then he asked the men of her place, saying, where is the prostitute that it was at Enam by the road? They said, there has been no prostitute here.
Trust me, we would know.
Wait, does anyone have an idea of, like, what is her game here?
She's trying to get pregnant, I guess, because everyone keeps refusing to actually put their sperm inside of her.
It kind of sounded like she just wanted some.
I see.
Yeah. She wanted to have sex with a man who was not going to die immediately afterwards.
Could you say that perhaps all that she wants is a first baby?
Is
gone
another
tomorrow,
baby.
But all that. Yeah.
I do love
Yeah,
that song.
yeah.
It's really
One
good.
could say that.
Yes. All right. He returned to Judah and said, I haven't found her. And also the men of this place said, there has been no prostitute here. Judah said, let her keep it, lest we be put to shame. Behold, I sent this kid, and you haven't found her. Meaning the goat, I guess.
Yeah.
The child goat.
Yeah, that kid.
It happened about 3 months later that it was told Judah, saying, Tamar, your daughter-in-law has played the prostitute, and moreover, behold, she is with child by prostitution?
Oof. Some tabloids right there.
Whoa!
Someone told him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
someone was just like, hey, I heard.
Did he not put these two things together, though?
Apparently not. Maybe he's visiting prostitutes all the time. For all we know. Like
probably.
every strange woman on the side of the road, he's like, hey, how many goats do you require for me to let me come into you? Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whatever
I
awkward
guess.
turn of phrase one used for turning tricks back in the day.
Jeez, okay. Judah said, bring her forth and let her be burnt. Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
These people are really intense. When she was brought forth, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, by the man who these are, I am with child. She also said, please discern whose these are, the signet and the cords and the staff. I see, so she has proof that it was
Yeah.
his.
Yeah. Clever. Okay.
Judah acknowledged them and said, she is more righteous than I, because I didn't give her to Shelah, my son. He knew her again no more. Meaning he didn't have sex with her again?
Yeah, I think like knowing in the biblical sense.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. That he didn't do her anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was like, not even going to risk that again.
Yeah, that's probably good.
I'm really curious about what like the Message Bible says about this.
Oh, yeah.
Have you
What's it
heard
say?
of this, Seth? The Message Bible? Jace brings it up a lot.
It was this Bible translation that came out in like, when did we say, like the early 2000s,
Early 2000s,
maybe?
I think, yeah.
That was this like super modernization into like conversational modern English. And occasionally it's very funny. This one's actually not very interesting. It's just Judah saw they were his. He said, she's in the right, I'm in the wrong.
Oh.
I wouldn't let her marry my son Shelah. He never slept with her again.
Okay.
I see.
On the nose.
Yeah.
It would have been better if it had been like, she's in the right, my bad. That would be, if the Message Bible was written today, maybe it would say that.
Yeah.
My bad.
My bad.
It happened in the time of her travail that, behold, twins were in her womb. No, not more twins. We know what happens to them. They get really angry at each other.
Yeah, that's true.
It happened when she travailed that one put out a hand.
Oh.
And the midwife took it and tied a scarlet thread on his hand, saying, "This came out first."
I like not this boy came out first. Just like this hand came out first.
This thing, it came out first. Why would you tie a scarlet thread on it?
You got to keep track of who the firstborn is down to the second.
Really?
Yeah.
For birthright purposes.
Yeah.
Right? You saw how contested that birthright thing is.
That's true. Oh, man. And neither of these boys are furry yet, so...
You can't tell them apart like Jacob and Esau.
And Esau, yeah. It happened as he drew back his hand that, behold, his brother came out and said, "Why have you made a breach for
she
yourself?"
said-
The baby didn't say.
The baby wasn't calling out of the
No.
womb. Why have you done this? Sorry. She said, "Why have you made a breach for yourself?" Therefore, his name was called Perez.
You know,
Perez Hilton.
Yeah. exactly.
Afterward, his brother came out that had the scarlet thread on his hand, and his name was called Zerah.
Okay, remember when I was really confused about Jacob and Esau?
I do remember that this story
I got it confused partly with this story.
Yeah.
Where like the one comes out, but then the other finishes coming out first, and then he comes out. I thought Jacob and Esau had been the ones who did that. Yeah.
Can you look up what the translation is for this line where the midwife asks, "Why have you made a breach for yourself?" Because I do not understand at all what that could possibly mean.
Yeah, I'll look that up. Any guesses?
I think it's like, so breach is like to cross a threshold or something. So it's like he took the hand back in, and she was like, why'd you do that? I already tied a thing around your hand.
They're going to burn me for this.
Well, and it's interesting because they do say like breached baby.
Yeah, breached birth is when the baby's flipped in the womb.
Well,
and
he
it's
wasn't
coming out.
flipped, but his hand came out first, which is kind of weird.
That is weird. That is not normal, I believe.
Sticks his hand out of the womb.
There's a lot of variety in translation.
Oh,
yeah?
really? What you got?
Yeah, so the Bible in Basic English says, "What an opening you have made for yourself." So he was named Perez. The Common English Bible says, "You've burst out on your own."
Okay.
So I think he came just like flying out of the womb.
Just shot out like a cannonball.
Let's see, the Complete Jewish Bible says, "How did you manage to break out first?" Yeah, they're all kind of variations on... The Good News translation says, "So this is how you break your way out." So he was named
That's
Perez.
really all these sassy midwives speaking to these babies that don't understand anything. It is really funny, this image of like the one baby sticks his hand out and then the other brother is like, "No," and like clawing, like shoving his way out of the womb.
Yeah.
Do any of those say what Perez means? Because it seems to be indicating that Perez has some kind of,
there's been a lot of
connotation.
that. I feel like some translations will go the extra mile to be like, and Perez means such and such, but a lot of them
means
won't.
breakout,
Really?
according to the Message Bible.
What a wonderful name for your child.
Breakout?
Baby did like a Mario jump, broke the block.
Yeah, he's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Others say that it means a breach, which I guess similarly like a breaking through something.
Yeah.
In some translations, his name is Pharez, like Pharez, which is way doper than
Perez.
than Perez Hilton.
Jeez. That's
Wow.
really interesting.
That's fascinating. Okay.
So that chapter happened. And literally in this next chapter, we're just right back to the story of Joseph, literally like where we left off.
All right. That makes sense.
Seth, do you remember learning anything about that story we just read?
No. I remember, no, it sounds familiar because of Jacob and Esau, but it's not.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
Not
just
Jacob and
Yeah.
Esau.
another
The other
twin
twins.
story, I guess.
Some other twins that didn't
Some
make the
rando
cut.
twins. Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, they didn't.
I feel like I learned about the story of Onan like when I was a teenager, maybe.
Huh.
But I don't remember
No, I
what
don't-
context exactly.
I do
I
remember
learned it.
that because of the
Yeah.
whole no masturbation.
The masturbation thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I've heard spilling seed as a euphemism, as the
Yeah.
like,
Right.
sinful euphemism for.
But I do
masturbation,
remember, I think it must have been in that context of like, the Bible says you can't masturbate because of this verse. But I do remember being like, who the hell is Onan? Like,
Yeah.
I've never heard of this person. And he's literally there just to tell you to not masturbate,
Yeah.
essentially.
It's interesting though, because it's, Actually, to me, it feels like ambiguous what the sin there was, because there was a lot more involved in terms of brothers and things,
it was just him kind of refusing to fulfill this tradition of taking care of his brother's wife, or something.
Yeah,
and was that the actual sin more so than
maybe the real sin is being greedy with your seed. Because that's what he was doing. He was like, I don't want to give her a baby because it'll be kind of my brother's baby because he was her first husband.
So does that mean give it to everyone? I don't like that lesson. I don't want that to be the takeaway here.
I don't think that there is a good takeaway.
Exactly.
God bless it. Okay.
Are you ready to dive back
can
into
we get
Joseph?
back to Joseph, please? All right.
Who's reading now?
I'm reading.
You, right?
Yeah. Okay. Genesis 39. Joseph was brought down to Egypt. Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh's, played by Jace Lindgren in high school.
In high school, yeah.
In the high school production of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. So just fill that in your head. So Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh's, the captain of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him from the hand of the Ishmaelites that had brought him down there. Okay, that's a difficult sentence. I'm sorry.
That is a difficult
sentence. That sentence
bad.
makes no sense. All right. Yahweh was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man. He was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. His master saw that Yahweh was with him, and that Yahweh made all that he did prosper in his hand.
Wait a minute. So was Yahweh walking down with Joseph and was like, I'm Yahweh with Joseph, and he was like an actual human walking around with him?
Well, that is an option, but I did want to ask the three of you what possibly could have been the ways that Potiphar could have seen that Yahweh was, quote unquote, with Joseph.
All right, before we go on to the next chapter of the Bible, we want to take a quick moment to talk about how this show gets made and how you can help ensure that this show keeps getting made. And the best way to do that is to become one of our supporters on Patreon. So on our Patreon, which is at patreon.com/drunkbiblestudy, we have several tiers where you can help support this show, as well as getting a bunch of cool benefits. So the first is that even for just $1 a month, you can become a member of our Patreon, and that helps us to keep this show going, as well as getting you access to being able to comment on the Patreon page, as well as read comments that we make or that other members make. At $6 a month, you can be a parishioner, which lets you get access to our bonus episodes, which we record basically every week to go along with the episode. Sometimes
They're very fun.
Yeah, they're super fun to do. Sometimes these are like more in-depth analysis or research on something, or sometimes it's an interview with an expert. Sometimes it's just watching movies or musicals based on the Bible together and joking about them or commenting on them. And then at $12 a month, you can become a disciple. And with that, in addition to becoming part of the community, getting all the bonus episodes and anything else that we put out, you also get ad-free episodes, and they come out 2 days early. So you get to be cooler than all of your friends because you already know those Bible chapters 2 days before them. So then when you listen together with them, you can be like, I knew that.
I knew that, obviously. Duh. No question.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. So in addition to this, we're also really trying to reach our goal of getting 300 patrons. So this is a very exciting goal because once we reach it, we can start releasing 2 Bible studies a week instead of 1. And that's amazing. I mean, it means that you and we do not need to wait as long between episodes. We don't have to wait as long to record multiple episodes. Y'all don't need to wait as long to get those multiple episodes. So it's a win-win-win, win-win for everyone.
Also, we would absolutely love to hear what you think of the show. So if you can take 2 minutes out of your day to go to iTunes or to Stitcher and leave us a review, we would love to hear from you. Is there a particular chapter that really moved you as you heard us drunkenly read it and make jokes about it?
Wow.
What's your background? Were you also raised atheist like Emily was, or were you raised in the church, in the Christian church like Jason and I were? Were you raised in a completely different religion? We want to know your thoughts. So again, go to iTunes or go to Stitcher and leave us a review. Let us know.
Did he have a halo around him?
I guess I thought
that's what I was thinking. Like one of those like sticks sticking up from the back of his head and then a halo.
Some tinsel.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's very like in
The Sims.
Like, and all that, there's a lot of like pottery, like medieval, I don't know, I think it's medieval pottery and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
The
That
paintings,
has-
that maybe?
Right.
Have the halo.
Sculptures, that's what I'm looking for,
Yeah.
I mean,
I imagine he just like,
pottery.
because he's a slave, so it's like he cleaned everything really quickly and it like stayed clean for a very long time, or like he was cooking food or something. It was like really tasty. Because he's talking about like, what was it? Yahweh made all that he did prosper in his hand.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, I think I guess we're going to get to this in just a second as I look ahead here. But it was just that like he did stuff real good. And so he would get promoted because Yahweh was with him. I think this is metaphorical.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure this wasn't like a 2-for-1 servant deal where you get Joseph and then Yahweh comes along as
And
a
then
second
Yahweh
servant.
also is there. I mean, that would be pretty impressive.
That would be impressive.
Yeah, Potiphar made the best deal.
Yeah.
What if he just like stubbed his toe and it was like, gosh darn it, and then he was like, gosh?
There you go.
Perfect.
Cute.
Yeah.
Cute.
Exactly.
Okay. So Joseph found favor in his sight. He ministered to him, and he made him overseer of his house, and all that he had he put into his hand. So that's actually a pretty impressive position for Joseph to be in as a slave.
And that happened like immediately. He's
Yeah,
like, oh,
well,
you're here.
Yahweh was
Yahweh's
with him.
with you.
That's why, I mean, it's unclear. This could be years later for all we know.
Sure.
Yeah, that's true. I guess we don't know how long he's been
How
doing
long it took
this.
to rise the ranks and climb that corporate ladder of Potiphar's house. Okay.
Yeah.
It happened from the time that he made him overseer in his house and over all that he had, that Yahweh blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of Yahweh was on all that he had in the house and in the field. Again, have to reiterate, he left all that he had in Joseph's hand. He didn't concern himself with anything except for the food which he ate. I don't know if that's Potiphar or Joseph. I'm confused.
That was Potiphar.
Potiphar. Okay. Potiphar didn't concern himself with anything except for the food which he ate.
So he enjoyed eating?
I guess so. He's like Joseph has it so on lockdown that he's like, I don't even have to worry about anything in this house. Like Joseph's doing all the mental load, emotional labor of keeping this house together, all the chores.
I think he's kind of becoming dependent on Joseph because he just wants to live the good life and not do the like day to day.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Right. Joseph was well built and handsome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Got to throw that in there.
It happened after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes on Joseph.
Whoa.
And she said, lie with me.
Everyone's doing it.
She was like, lie with me, Joseph. Everyone's doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
I got to say that the girl who played Potiphar's wife, who played my character's wife, was the girl in the production that I had the crush on as a 17-year-old or whatever.
Oh.
It never worked out.
Did you get jealous during that part of the play where she was like, hey, Joseph should come?
Was Joseph handsome
Yeah,
and well built? Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a pretty handsome guy. I said he was the guy playing Joseph was in the same boy band that I was in. So
Right.
you know.
Is Potiphar's wife's song like, Joseph and Sons, please lie with me. It'll be great.
In our production, she didn't sing. She was the head of our the dancers, though. She was one of the lead
I
dancers.
see.
Because she does the sort of like almost like the sexy
Like a little
Seven
dance in
Veils
Seven
kind
Veils,
of dance.
yeah.
That style of a dance to try to seduce Joseph.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So she said, lie with me. But he refused and said to his master's wife, behold, my master doesn't know what is with me in the house, and he has put all that he has into my hand. He isn't greater in this house than I. Neither has he kept back anything from me but you, because you are his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? What a good boy.
I know, he's a good boy. And God, let's be honest, God would probably murder him on the spot if he lay with her.
If he lay with an Egyptian.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It happened that as she spoke to Joseph day by day, that he didn't listen to her, to lie by her, or to be with her. Oh, he's just really resilient.
Yeah.
It happened about this time that he went into the house to do his work, and there were none of the men of the house inside. She caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me.
Wow.
He left his garment in her hand and ran outside. So he I'm assuming he's wearing just like a toga or something that she pulled off, and he just ran outside naked. I totally forgot about this part of the story till just now.
I think in our production it was like a coat that he was wearing or a vest, but yeah, you're right. It was probably more of the whole.
I think the whole shebang. Yeah. Okay. It happened when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and had run outside, that she called to the men of her house and spoke to them, saying, behold, he has brought in a Hebrew to us to mock us. He came in to me to lie with me, and I cried with a loud voice.
Wow.
Oh, this is where the whole false accusation thing comes from.
Yeah.
Oh, way back when. It happened when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried that he left his garment by me and ran outside.
Are you saying that she invented false accusations? Is that like
I think
in the previous chapter we invented masturbation and then
I suppose.
I think she invented the specter of false accusation.
I see.
I will say. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Okay. She laid up his garment by her until his master came home. She spoke to him according to these words, saying, "The Hebrew servant whom you have brought to us came in to me to mock me. And it happened, as I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment by me and ran outside. It happened when his master heard the words of his wife, which she spoke to him, saying, 'This is what your servant did to me,' that his wrath was kindled."
Oh boy, yeah.
Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, the place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in the custody.
I will
Wait.
put you in the custody.
That was odd.
Did this happen? So this happened in the friggin' like Andrew Lloyd Webber play that you did?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Whoa.
I totally threw that guy in jail.
Jeez. You're like, this is what you get for laying a hand on my crush, trying to lie to me about it. But Yahweh was with Joseph and showed kindness to him and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison.
Everyone loves this
Everyone
guy.
Yeah.
freaking loves him. I mean, he is handsome.
Everyone except for his brothers.
Yeah, that's true. The keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners who were in the... They just want to give stuff to this guy.
Wait, they gave him all the
The
prisoners?
keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners who were in the prison.
Is that what that means?
What does that even?
Let me finish to go to the end of the
yeah.
chapter. Whatever they did there, he was the doer of it.
Okay.
Now I'm really confused.
The keeper of the prison didn't look after anything that was under his hand because Yahweh was with him, and that which he did, Yahweh made it prosper.
What?
That ended on a confusing note. I don't remember that Joseph got thrown into prison and then became king of prison.
Yeah. Prison king boy.
Like,
So, okay, in the Message Bible, it says the head jailer put Joseph in charge of all the prisoners. He ended up managing the whole operation.
is he
and then
hoping to get
the prison keeper just kind of like
just effed off?
doodled all day or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Guess so.
Like, what?
Like,
Just spilled seed instead of working.
Jeez.
No, he didn't because he's still alive.
Well, he was an
But
Egyptian.
He's an Egyptian, probably different rules. I think the Egyptian gods are cooler with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, I do have to say, I was sharing this memory with Jace a couple weeks ago that when I was little at my grandparents' house, I remember watching some kind of like made for TV movie that was like an adaptation of the story of Joseph. And I remember this scene with Potiphar's wife where she like, Joseph's like in the bath and like she comes in and he's, you know, he's like all naked and like wet and sexy. And she like comes in and is like rubbing her hands on his chest and like her hand goes below the water and he's like clearly reacting. And I was like 6. Oh
my God.
And just being like, I don't know if the adults know about this.
If they know that I'm
I don't
watching
know if
this
they
right now.
know or expected that a Bible movie would have this in it. It was an extremely sexy scene
Yeah.
for a movie based on the Bible. Because he was
Yeah.
also like, I remember he was like, you know, reacting and where it was like clearly like it felt good, but he was resisting. And it was just
Jeez.
like, it was really intense. And I always remember it.
Wow.
And now the memory was jogged after reading this other scene where she pulled off his garment that may have been influenced by that film because I remember in that film seeing his butt. And,
Oh, so
and also being 6 and being like, I really don't think the adults know about this. I don't think they'd let me watch this if they knew. But yeah, that they had a shot of him like running out with his naked butt just out there in the breeze.
Wow.
Yeah.
Goodness. Well,
On that note, Seth,
Well-
it is time.
and with that, Seth, are you ready to read us Genesis 40?
I am Genesis 40.
I'm really excited. I'm maybe I've hopped it up too much now, but I'm super excited for this pronunciation of Hebrew names. I hope there's some
All right.
real tough ones.
I'll try and I'll do my best.
Oh, I guess it's going to be mostly Egyptian.
Joseph became king of the jail.
Yes.
Right.
That's where we
Right,
are.
yeah.
All right. It happened after these things that the butler of the king of Egypt and his baker offended their lord, the king of Egypt.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
This is just like
Pharaoh.
we had a hard cut.
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
All right. Pharaoh was angry against his two officers, against the chief of the butlers and against the chief of the bakers.
Okay, wait. Okay, so there's a chief of the butlers and there's a chief of the bakers. So that means there must be a chief of the prisoners, right? Like that's just what Joseph has become, the chief of the prisoners.
He's not mad against the chief of the prisoners yet.
Not yet. But I do want to hear from the three of you, what could the butler and the baker possibly have done to offend Pharaoh? I know it's hard because we don't know how easily offendable he is.
I'm assuming the candlestick maker was involved somehow.
Oh.
The butler, the baker, and the candlestick maker.
Oh, good one.
Yeah, thanks. That's all I got.
Did he?
Well, okay. Obviously, the baker putting like too much sand into the bread.
Too much
Sand?
Not the right amount of sand in the bread.
No, that's actually
Not enough sand, maybe. Could have been.
I see.
This Pharaoh likes it real crunchy. Lots of texture.
And I guess same thing for the butler. Too much sand in the clothes. Not enough sand in the clothes.
There you go.
There you go.
You left some sand in my wife.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Ooh, yeah. I
That
assume
would be on theme.
it has to be about like the butler saw my wife's side boob for too long and I'm really offended by it.
Actually,
Maybe.
yeah, that's not far from.
I
what
feel
could
like
be
that's
real.
pretty easy
Yeah.
since everyone seems just like so freaking possessive of their women.
Maybe he just is really missing his Joseph, and so he's taking it out on the butler.
He hasn't even met.
and
No,
the
this is
baker.
Pharaoh, not Potiphar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Pharaoh.
the big dude
Okay,
Yeah.
then I have
who
no
I
idea.
also
big boss.
played.
What?
You're a little short on actors, were they?
Jace was king of the whole cast.
Well, because Potiphar is in the first act,
Right.
And then now in Joseph, the second act or the first act ends with him in prison, and that's when he sings, "Close every door to me, hide all the world from me." You know,
I will
the
be the
classic,
jail king.
classic song of Joseph. Anyway,
Yeah, I think I do know that song, but
I don't know that
Yeah.
song.
He's
Is
in
it
prison
traditionally?
by
Is it
himself, but-
traditionally double cast that way?
I don't know actually.
okay.
And then the second act, there's no more Potiphar, and there's just Pharaoh.
Right. Okay.
So I think it's a
So
fairly
people weren't
common.
confused. You must have had a big costume change.
Oh yeah, no,
Or like did you start with speaking with like a British accent or something? Just
there you go.
I think I did actually.
You're like a Cockney Egyptian man.
No, because Potiphar in ours was like wearing a suit, and he was sort of like a refined, sort of like lord of a house, kind of like has all
like
the
he's a
servants
refined
and that sort of
gentleman.
thing. And then
I see.
Pharaoh is Elvis.
Right.
Oh,
That's when
yeah.
you got to have your like pelvic debut.
Yeah, and so I had the like long sideburns and slicked my hair
Cute.
and all that sort of
Nice.
thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
All
All
right.
right.
With that imagery in mind.
okay. He put them in custody in the house of the captain of the guard, into the prison, the place where Joseph was bound.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh.
All right. The captain of the guard assigned them to Joseph, and he took care of them. He stayed in the prison, or they stayed in the prison many days.
Any number. We don't really know. Many days.
I think that means 40. I think by default all
Everything's
numbers
40.
are just 40
Okay.
in the
Yeah.
Bible.
Yeah.
We'll
I
just say
mean,
40 days.
I know that probably in like a Jewish upbringing, numbers I know are more of a focus. Like I feel
Are
in
they?
Christian school, we're sort of like, nah, I don't know, some days.
No, I don't know. I think it's just. I don't think they paid that much attention to it.
Really? Okay.
I know
I thought there was more
some
meaning
people,
to it.
I think there's some people, but both Christian and Jewish, who try to get more into like a biblical numerology
I
for
see,
sure,
I
and
see.
pull out some conspiracy theories based on biblical numbers and math and things like that.
Interesting.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
I have no idea. They dreamed a dream in time gone by, though.
Yep.
Yes. hey now.
Sorry.
They both dreamed a dream, each man his dream in one night, each man according to the interpretation of his dream. The butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, who were bound in prison.
In case
I
you-
cannot
in case-
parse that.
What does that even mean? What just happened?
Let me just rewind and try that again. I'm going to try like a different enunciation. They both dreamed a dream. Each man his dream in one night, each man according to the interpretation of his dream. The butler and the baker of the king of Egypt were bound in prison.
Still have no
In
idea.
case you
Not
forgot.
a clue.
In case you forgot from the last sentence. Let me look up another translation because that was really confusing.
Yeah.
Okay, here's our favorite. The message says, "The king's cupbearer and baker, while being held in jail, both had a dream on the same night, each dream having its own meaning."
Okay, good. I'm glad
That makes a lot more
clarifying.
sense.
They did not dream the same dream. They were
that's
two
what I
separate
was-
men dreaming two separate dreams, but on the same night.
Totally.
Okay.
Okay.
Or at least they interpreted the dream differently, maybe?
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
what I
know.
was wondering. Is like, did they just both interpret? I mean, maybe we'll get to it. We'll see.
I think we will. I remember some things about dreams from Sunday school. Okay, so Joseph came into them. Whoa. Okay.
Oh, right.
No, it's a different meaning
the
there.
same turn of phrase for both.
No, it's in
Exactly.
prison and he's in charge.
Oh, that does make
Okay.
sense. Yeah.
Joseph came into them in the morning and saw them and saw that they were sad.
Oh.
Aw, poor babies.
He asked Pharaoh's officers who were with him in custody in his master's house, saying, "Why do you look so sad today?" They said to him, "We have dreamed a dream, and there is no one who can interpret it."
Oh.
Joseph's like, excuse me.
I got
that's
Yahweh
just-
with me.
Yeah.
It's actually my first job was interpreting dreams.
Joseph said to them, "Don't interpretations belong to God? Please tell it to me." The chief butler told his dream to Joseph and said to him, "In my dream, behold, a vine was in front of me, and in the vine were 3 branches. It was as though it budded, its blossoms shot forth, and the clusters of it brought forth ripe grapes.
Cool.
Great.
Neat.
Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup, and I gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand."
Okay. So
Yeah,
and,
that's it.
and Pharaoh
That's
was
the end.
like, "Why did you give me just like
He's like
3
cool.
crushed grapes?"
It's weird, but okay. Cool.
Okay, I mean, that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah, easy. What would? Okay, wait. Before we go on, Emily, interpret the dream for us.
Pharaoh wanted some wine, and so this guy tried to make it, but he made it poorly. The end.
Oh, maybe that's the reason why he was so offended by him.
Because
maybe,
he made him
yeah.
weak wine.
He was like, "You just like gave me baby food."
It was
y'all."
a literal dream.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I think it's about the existential crisis of the workers' plight.
Oh,
right, moving on.
That's good. That's good.
Moving on. Joseph said to him, "This is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are the 3 days." Of course, the 3 days.
Yes.
Oh, why didn't I see it? "Within 3 more days, Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you to your office.
Oh.
You will give Pharaoh's cup into his hand the way you did when you were his butler. But remember me when it will be well with you, and show kindness, please, to me, and make mention of me to Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house." Ooh, kind of conniving
So
there.
I
he's
see.
networking, really.
Yeah, exactly.
He's definitely networking. Yeah.
"For indeed, I was stolen away out of the land of the Hebrews, and here also have I done nothing that they should put me into the dungeon."
Oh, okay. So in 3 days, everything's going to turn around for the butler.
Got
And
it.
apparently Joseph.
And hopefully Joseph, if he's played his cards right.
Yeah.
Playing a nice little sob story there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's good. I was
Play on the
falsely
emotions.
accused.
Yeah, exactly.
When the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, he said to Joseph, "I also was in my dream, and behold, 3 baskets of white bread were on my head."
Just like
On his
stacked
head.
one
Okay.
on
It's a
top of
dream.
one another.
Yeah.
It's a dream, things,
Yeah, nothing
can
wrong.
levitate
Nothing wrong in
sometimes
dreams,
or
Yeah.
whatever. In the uppermost basket, there was all kinds of baked food for Pharaoh, and the birds ate them out of my basket on my head.
Oh, okay.
And that's
wait,
it, I
wait,
guess. That's
wait.
the whole dream.
Yeah, Emily.
Oh yeah, Emily,
Oh,
interpret.
what? The birdies represent the 3 of them. They represent Joseph, the
the cupbearer, the butler.
and also the baker.
The butler, the baker, the king of the jail.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know. They're eating yummy food together.
Also, there weren't 3 birds. There were just birds.
Oh, I thought there were
that they
3.
ate. They ate the stuff out of the uppermost basket of bread.
Okay, well maybe it's just like they went to like a fun party together and ate some food.
Okay, all right. I
All
like
right,
that.
they're
It's
going to
very
go
positive.
to a fun party. I
Right.
like it.
I kind of think this foreshadows a beheading.
Oh, dang.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's look.
Joseph answered, "This is the interpretation of it. The 3 baskets are 3 days." Wow, he's
Okay.
really
Yeah.
he's on the ball with this.
Yeah.
All right. "Within 3 more days, Pharaoh will lift you up your head. Will lift up your head from off you and will hang you on a tree.
Okay, so not
And
quite
the-
a beheading,
Whoa.
but close.
Yeah. And the birds will eat your flesh from off you."
Whoa!
I think the baker's gonna be like, "I want my money back on this dream interpretation,
yeah,
man."
geez, I don't think he liked that very much.
Ooh.
It happened the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast for all his servants, and he lifted up the head of the chief butler and the head of the chief baker amongst his servants. He restored the chief butler to his butlership again, and he gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But He hanged the chief baker as Joseph had interpreted to them. Yet the chief butler didn't remember Joseph, but forgot him.
Oh, dang.
Weak.
I didn't see that coming at all.
Dropping a bomb on that last verse there.
It was 3 days.
Like I literally just forgot about this.
He was so excited about being restored to his position that he was like, nope. Can't even.
Yahweh is not going to be pleased.
Oh,
Also, like, we
gosh.
spent a whole chapter kind of setting this up, and then it's like, oh yeah, nothing came of it.
And
Like-
that didn't happen
that's
then.
true. Maybe he'll remember him later.
Did this
Man, I
happen?
don't know. Like, I got this interpretation. It gave a very specific timeline. I'm thinking on the 3rd day, I'm like, I wonder if this is going to come true. I'm thinking about it, you know?
Yeah,
And
obviously
then
you're
when I get
anticipating
lifted
it.
out of, I don't, man.
Yeah,
That's cold.
And like literally,
That's
it
just
happens
cold.
just like in your dream, and you're like, I remember something about whatever.
Yeah,
And
I
you
don't
just-
care. I was supposed to do something else, but it's all right. I'm sure it wasn't important.
No, I didn't write it down. I'm not actually that great of a butler, really.
Yeah.
But like, what are
Started-
okay?
Just started punching grapes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are we supposed to take away from this? It's just like how bad Joseph has it, I guess.
Well, he has
No.
it bad, but
No, he
like
doesn't.
Yahweh still has given him this gift of dream interpretation
yeah.
that is still on point.
And like all the people in the jail and a job.
I guess it's a job. Is he getting
I mean,
compensated for it? Is he just
I
getting
don't
like better
know.
treatment?
Yeah, it's unclear kind of what being king of the prisoners really entails.
Right. Does he
Well,
just
he's
get to
not
wear a
getting
special
shanked.
hat?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Wow. Okay, so what do we think is going to happen next time? Because the story of Joseph takes us through to the end of Genesis. There's a lot more of the story to go.
Yeah.
And a lot
Wait.
happened in this episode today.
But you were essentially saying that this is Act 2.
Oh.
Right. So I'm realizing now that like how much story happens in Act 1 of the musical
Yeah.
is much shorter in terms of what's actually in the Bible versus Act 2, which is a lot more, which is ironically different from a lot of story in musicals where like
Yeah.
most
Right,
of the
usually story
Most
happens
of it
in
is Act 1.
exposition and stories in Act
Yeah,
1.
yeah.
Yeah. Because so I was looking into this and basically Joseph, we're going to be hanging with Joseph for I think 5 more episodes.
Wow.
Which is all the rest of Genesis. And we're done with Genesis.
Wow, wow.
Really?
The story of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat is only going to be the next 2 or 3 episodes.
Okay.
And then there's kind of more Joseph story that's not included in that, like
Oh,
in the plot of the musical.
I see.
That's
How intriguing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll find out what Andrew Lloyd Webber didn't think was fit to include in the musical. He definitely didn't include that Onan chapter.
No, that was super
Can you
weird.
can you imagine in the musical there's this like quick little side vignette? They're like, by the way,
This has nothing to do with the story, but
Don't masturbate.
yeah.
The end.
Don't
you kids.
It really did have nothing to do with the story.
It really-
No,
yeah.
it had nothing to do with anything.
I'm sure there's got to
Were any of the characters in that story
No,
like
none.
in this?
zero.
No.
I mean, Judah is Joseph's brother.
And he was
Okay.
so Judah was one of the guys
okay.
who had the whole plot to, kill him and then to put him in a pit and then to sell him.
Along with the rest of the brothers. It wasn't him
Yeah.
specifically.
I'm having flashbacks now. I think it will become relevant eventually.
You think so?
Oh, really?
I think that the brothers are not out of the story for good.
I think the brothers are going to come back.
But do you think that the relevance of
I don't think Onan is
Judah
going to become relevant.
having a daughter by his daughter-in-law or having a child by his daughter-in-law is going to be relevant? That I don't remember.
It's sort of a character. It's a character background, right? We established
I say, yeah.
that Judah is kind of
Judah's kind of the
Doesn't have
the
a lot of
kooky
scruples.
guy.
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of scruples, and that his sons were also bad people. They were wicked, and that Yahweh killed them.
Gosh.
I
So
also
intense.
so Seth, we were talking with a theologian about some of this Genesis stuff a while ago now, and he was talking to us about Yahweh, like that in Jewish writings. I don't know if this is a traditional thing or a reform thing or whatever, but that you don't say the name. You just kind of like pause for a moment instead of saying the word Yahweh. Is that like just a super conservative thing, or do you remember anything about that?
Okay, so Yahweh, it's like a Hebrew word, but it's kind of a weird. So in traditional Hebrew, like in the Torah, there were no vowels.
Right.
So you knew how to pronounce the words based on like context and
Right.
based on just, yeah, I mean, you saw the consonants. And so Yahweh is actually, it's 4 letters, Yud, He, Vav, He, or the 4 letters, and when you see them, you can add pronunciation, add the vowels. Yahweh is one way to do that. But I think what we always said was like Adonai, which means like king.
Right. Yeah.
King or Lord.
But is Adonai the same? That would be different letters, though, right?
It's different. Yeah, it would be pronounced differently. I'm trying to think if that's actually right. I think so, though.
Because something that we were learning about because we've looked at a few different translations of the Bible for doing this, and that different Bibles will translate the different words used for God differently. Because there are like multiple words, like I guess like Adonai and Yahweh and
like El Shaddai. And,
right.
Yeah.
So I don't really know which ones are related to what or like what they mean though.
Yeah. No idea.
Seth is deep in thought.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time remembering. Maybe it's possible we did just not say it.
Yeah.
I don't remember like awkward pauses in the middle of prayers or anything.
Right. Huh. Well, Seth, just in case you happen to come to mind any like really cool rabbis or something who could hang with this show, we would love to have them on to do like a bonus episode to really get into that kind of stuff.
Okay,
so please
that'd be interesting.
Remember us. Don't be like the butler and forget us. Remember us to your cool rabbi friends.
See, now you've got a new middle metaphor you can use.
Yeah.
Don't be like the butler.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Don't be like that freaking butler, please.
I'm going to start using that anytime you forget anything. If you're like going to the store, I'm like, oh, could you pick me up, a juice or something? And you come
then
back
you
without
don't.
it. It'll be like,
Don't
such
be
a
like
butler.
the butler.
Let's be honest.
Butler.
Of the two of us, I'm not the one doing the forgetting.
Oh, snap.
I have been reading a lot of books about making your memory better.
You have, and it's great. No, and it's really inspiring.
Well done.
You're reading books about how to not be a butler, and it's great. I love it.
That'll be the title when I write a book about memory. It'll be Don't Be a Butler, How to Improve Your Memory and Not Get Cursed by Yahweh.
Oh, yeah.
Good subtitle, right?
Yeah, it's great. I have 1 million copies for sure.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, Seth, before we wrap up here, can you tell our listeners really quick where they can find more about you and the stuff that you do?
Sure, yeah. I have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Sethbling. I make a lot of very, very, very nerdy video game content on that. It's sort of my thing. Twitter, Sethbling, Facebook, Sethbling. Just any site you go to, it's probably Sethbling.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not really taken for some reason.
Excellent.
Weird.
Excellent.
All right.
Twitch also.
And Twitch, yeah.
Awesome.
Twitch.
Yeah, very important.
Awesome.
Great.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Seth.
Yeah, it was great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us for Bible study today. If you want even more Drunk Bible Study, including bonus episodes, new series, guest interviews, and more, become one of our patrons at patreon.com/drunkbiblestudy. If you enjoy the show, take a moment to subscribe and then write us a nice review on iTunes or Stitcher, letting other people know what you like about it. Find us on Twitter at Drunk Biblecast, on Instagram at Drunk Bible Study, or send us an email to info@drunkbiblestudy.com. Drunk Bible Study is created and produced by Dedeker Winston, Jace Lindgren, and me, Emily Matlack. Our theme song is Book Club by Josh and Anand from their album Home of the. The theme song for the Book of Genesis is Fanfare for Space by Kevin MacLeod. For more information, visit us at drunkbiblestudy.com.
I made a memory about your dad. He's in a book club. Whoa. He's got a history of skimming past all the pages of ageless confessional shit.